In the financial year 2012-13, I am happy to say that the efforts of the Ministry, our senior officials, as well as the industry, the exports organizations, finally helped us in the last quarter to at least come out of a continuous decline of 9 months. Our exports did cross 300 billion. The 300.60 billion to be precise, but compared to previous year, there has been a fall of 1.76%. It is therefore a matter of concern that the trade deficit has increased from US dollars 183.4 billion for the previous year to 190.91, almost 191 billion US dollars. When we look at the exports, we are able to discern a shifting trend as Indian exports to Asia, Africa and Latin America during 2012-13 reached 195.27 billion, accounting for 65% of India's exports. Also, the value-added exports as engineering exports today account for 57 billion, and textiles with 26 billion and pharmaceuticals with 15 billion plus. That shows that there is a clear thrust of value-added exports which is going to increase in the coming years. The agricultural exports, by their very nature, are sensitive as they have a direct bearing on the domestic price situation, as well as demands of the agro-based industry. However, we have always strived to strike a balance in securing the interests of our farmers and consumers. On account of the good harvests in the previous years, exports of all agricultural commodities has been freely allowed. Export of non-basmati rice, wheat and wheat products, which was banned in 2007, has been opened up. Wheat exports and rice exports have reached new high. India has become the largest rice exporter in the world and the second largest wheat exporter of the world. We have exported more than 6 million tons of wheat since September 2011, and except pulses and edible oils, as I mentioned, exports of all agricultural commodities is free. We have also taken a series of measures to promote export of organic agricultural produce, and in order to provide a predictability for long-term contracting, we have taken a policy view to exempt export of certain processed and value-added products so that they are freely exportable even in the eventuality of a restriction on exports of basic farm produce. These would include cheese, ghee, butter, casein and the casein products. Even if the eventuality of a ban on export of milk and milk products. In the last 4 years, we have aggressively pursued a policy of trade liberalization and engaged with all dynamic parts of the world. We concluded, as you know, a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with ASEAN. In June last year, I had outlined 7 pillars which define our approach to foreign trade. A, giving a focused thrust to employment-intensive industry as we view exports, not only in terms of their economic contribution, but as a means of generating gainful employment. B, to encourage domestic manufacturing for inputs to export industry and reduce the dependence on imports. C, promote technological upgradation of exports to retain a competitive edge in global markets. D, persist with a strong market diversification strategy to hedge the risk against global uncertainty. E, encourage exports from northeastern region given its special place in India's economy. F, to provide incentives for manufacturing of green goods, recognizing the imperatives of building capacities for environmental sustainability. And lastly, endeavor to reduce transaction costs through procedural simplification and reduction of human interface. we have persisted with the same approach in this year's policy announcements. Now I would like to share with you the measures which we are taking this year for giving more support and fillip to India's exports. The zero duty EPCG scheme has been an important instrument for increasing technology intensity of our exports. This scheme was scheduled to expire in March 2013. In a major decision, we have decided not only to extend the zero duty EPCG scheme beyond March 2013, but also to merge it with 3% EPCG scheme. Now the zero duty EPCG scheme will be available to all sectors. We have also undertaken a major simplification of the EPCG scheme, details of which will be available through separate notification. Further, for units located in J&K, Northeast and Sikkim, exporters would be required to achieve 25% of normal export obligations under the scheme. Time period for completion of export obligations for BIFR units has been extended to 9 years instead of 6 years in normal course. We would like to encourage our exporters to procure capital goods domestically. Therefore, we have decided that if an EPCG authorization holder procures capital goods from domestic market, the export obligation of such authorization shall be reduced by 10%. As a textile minister, I am also conscious of the demands and aspirations of the textile industry. Hitherto, any exporter who had obtained benefits under the Technology Upgradation Fund schemes, that STUFs, was ineligible for obtaining benefits under zero duty EPCG scheme. We have now decided that even if an exporter has obtained benefits under TUFs, he or she will be eligible for benefits to zero duty EPCG scheme also. This, I hope, will provide a push to this labor intensive sector, that's the textile industry. In December last year, we had introduced a new scheme, Incremental Export Incentive Scheme, for a period of 3 months, under which an additional incentive of 2% of FOB value of exports was provided on the incremental exports during that period over the corresponding period of the previous year. This scheme was made available for exports to the United States of America, Europe and Asia. Recognizing the popularity of the scheme, I have decided to extend the benefits of this scheme for this year as well, and to cover, in addition, 53 countries of Latin America and Africa, apart from the earlier notified markets which I have mentioned. We had extended 2% interest subvention to the SMEs, specified labor-intensive sectors, covering handlooms, handicrafts, carpets, SMEs, toys, sports goods, processed agricultural products and ready-made garments till 31st of March 2013. After a review of the export scenario and concerned over the contraction that was taking place, I and the Finance Minister discussed this matter, and in December we had extended this facility up to March 2014. Now we have taken a conscious decision to extend this facility to textile sector as mentioned in our article and articles listed in Chapter 63 of ITC, and 101 items of the engineering sector. This adds to the 134 engineering sector items which were announced in December, taking the number of the engineering sector coverage to 235. We have added Norway as a new market under the Focus Market Scheme, now taking the total number of markets to 125. We have also added Venezuela for the eligibility under the Special Focus Market Scheme with 4% duty credit, thus taking the total number of countries under this scheme to 50. Further, 47 new items have been added to the Market Link Focus Product Scheme and benefit for exports to USA and EU. for Chapters 61 and 62 pertaining to the textile sector has been extended by another 1 year until March 2014. We have also decided to add 126 items of engineering, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, and textile sector to the focus product scheme, and 2 new items have been added in the Vishesh Krishi and Gram Udyog Yojana scheme, VKGUY. We have also decided to incentivize high-tech products with effect from 30th June 2013, for which a separate notification would be issued. It has been announced that the scrips under Chapter 3 schemes will be eligible for utilization for offsetting existing duty, excise duty, in case the exporter procures from domestic market to give a focused thrust for manufacturing in domestic industry. This year, I have further allowed utilization of duty credit scrip issued under FMS, FPS and VKGUI for payment of service tax on procurement of services. The Special Economic Zone scheme has been a key instrument for promoting exports from India. Today, 389 SEZs have been notified, of which 170 are functional. The SEZs employ over 1 million of our citizens. There has been an investment of over 2.36 lakh crores in SEZs, and exports from SEZs have seen a dramatic jump from 22,840 crores in 2005-06 to rupees 4,76,000 crores in 2012-13. That's registering a growth of 2,000% over a 7-year period. Exports from SEZs during the last financial year have increased by 31%. Undoubtedly, these are significant achievements, but the SEZ scheme has not been able to realize its full potential. We have undertaken a comprehensive review of the SEZ policy after intense stakeholder consultations, and after a 1-year-long process, today I am happy to announce a package of reforms for reviving investor interest in SEZs. We have taken a note of the fact that there are acute difficulties in aggregating large tracts of uncultivable land which is vacant and contiguous, and we have therefore decided to reduce the minimum land area requirement by half for different categories for SEZs. For multi-product SEZ, the area has been brought down from 1,000 hectares to 500 hectares, and for sector-specific SEZs, it has been brought down to 50 hectares from existing 100 hectares.